Yeah, that's why we worked so well when we were trying to
You and
get
Kerry.
sheriffs.
That's beautiful. Right, let's go into debt. Let's go
No,
into
let's
fake
not.
debt, true debt, real debt, bad
Let's
debt. No, it's just going to be 5 minutes overview from yesterday. This is the overview,
Yeah,
right?
we've got an overview. Yeah.
Right, guys, we've got a mortgage. You walk off to your lawyer. So let's go one step back. You're driving with your wife one day and you say, I like that house. Let's sell our house, let's go there. Okay. So you go to the real estate, sign your contract, you say, I want this one, right? Because that's how we're conditioned, where we should have just gone and got a peppercorn.
Yes.
A peppercorn is still a legal tender.
What's that?
It's one of those things you crack pepper.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I
peppercorn.
don't know that peppercorn thing.
It's
We
still
don't
legal
understand
tender. No one's rubbed it out as currency. It is still legal
oh,
tender.
that, a peppercorn, rather, it's currency.
It's currency.
Rather than
I don't even know
chickens,
what a
that'd be
peppercorn
good
is.
with taxation.
What a peppercorn?
A peppercorn. Also, too, what
What
you've
about
got is,
those things?
so you walk off, you go and get,
Pepper.
you walk off, you go into your lawyer, and you say, right, I'm buying this house. The lawyer then goes to your Sedicate trust. Your house is paid for. But he says, but which bank are you going to get your money for? And he actually writes it into the contract. You're going, but the real estate does it. She says, you're going to the National Australia Bank, you're going to get 200,000, cheap house. And therefore, we need to pay this back. Come back and sign a loan agreement later. Okay, here is the now. And we have, and I'll explain it in simple form. The lawyer knew what he did when he did that. Unconscionable behaviour means he allowed that person to then go into a bank
To get a
knowing
loan.
this concept, and I'll explain it so simply. We have a baker.
Okay.
He watches Mary and her children battle. So he says, Mary, I've grown my seedlings out the back. I have made wheat. I'm going to turn this into bread for you, and Mary, come in each week and get $100 worth of bread. I love you, little children. We're a community, right? Mary says, thank you. She walks out the door of the baker, and while she's walking home, the butcher pops out and says, hey, young lady, you got $100 worth of bread there. You pay me $10 a month until that's paid for. She says, oh, yes, okay. She doesn't understand. The butcher and the baker were never contracted together. There was no contract. However, when Mary said, oh, yes, she consented.
Yes.
She created a loan. That loan then became her payment. And if she didn't make it, they were coming to take her tractor off the farm. Right? In essence, that's all the banking industry have done.
Yeah.
How wise were they? They're thugs.
That's exactly right.
Thugs. That's the whole loan industry. But if you look at unconscionable behaviour, you've got to go way back up here, under the Crown, instruments, law, because remember they work under law in their old system.
Okay.
There's all the acts of, get rid of Mary in the contract. Law is 1914, Crimes Act,
Crimes Act.
Section 13, right? Deceit. Anything to do with deceit is fraud.
Wow.
Is fraud. So who's in fraud, guys? You've got yourself, which is the lawyers. But guess what? They might be nice little lawyers who don't know any different. But however, duty of care, responsible care,
If
your
they've been
position.
in the bar, they know all right, eh?
That's
Sworn
right
allegiance
here.
to the bar.
And the bar is a little house in England where they all meet up and drink little wines. It's a tiny wee little piece of land with one building on it. It's actually one of the things like Canberra, like the little ACT Canberra. So what you've got is a whole scenario of crime. Okay?
Right.
So your mortgage is crime, and that's why the sheriffs will have a letter. Everyone can go and talk to their bank manager and say, look mate, I've got two options for you. Here's option one. Here's a promissory note. Well,
Yes.
this is just an example. Kerry and I have wrote a promissory note
We went
under the
into the
sheriff's
bank.
badge.
We
Did
went into
you?
the bank with her promissory note to get her.
Did it have the sheriff badge on it?
Did it? Yeah, I went in as a sheriff.
Good girl.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
the guy didn't want to talk to us.
Because he knew what you were
Yeah,
going to say.
exactly.
So you say to him, look, here's a promissory note, take it from my Sedicate Trust. Look, John, I'm not here to upset you. You probably didn't know, but look, take that from my loan. Or you've got yourself here a crime, and I'm going to charge you with that because you know this debt is not mine, and you had a duty of care to know, to protect us. And also, too, the bank's never put 1 cent out. He had a duty to see where the actual initial payment come from for your home. What it's the origin of the money, and this is why now the anti-money laundering fraud group look at origins, the transference of money, and how they go, and yet they're the thugs.
Exactly.
Yet they created
Exactly.
the UCC1, which is the United Consumer Credit Code, that all mortgage brokers work under, and that's why in 1986, as a mortgage broker, I stopped because I found my client's money was coming from Chase Manhattan Bank. I didn't know they were the thugs of the world. What I said was, I will not take part in foreign investment.
Yeah.
I was acting conscionably. Also, too, I felt the banks were setting the mortgage brokers up for a fall,
Yes, they were.
as a fall
With
guy.
the mining thing, they did.
I wasn't going to partake in an industry, but that's 1986. We had a banking industry inquiry in, I think, 2018. 22 years later, what I seen came out in the banking inquiry, and yeah, they slammed the mortgage brokers as being irresponsible on a few occasions. Well, there you go, but hey, you have the foresight to see these things and stop it. Stop your behaviours. Don't take part in it. Complicity. You're a sheriff, you take a donation, you're complicit.
Yep.
Under the Sheriff's Act, we're allowed to be paid, but only as per the Act and the regulations, rules within that Act, which is one of our crown instruments, guys. The moment you take a donation,
Is
you'll
it
be
still
bought
in
off.
shillings and stuff?
It's still
No.
in bought off, so there you go. Anyway, so all that said and done, guys, that's yesterday's little butcher baker
Brilliant.
scenario.
Thanks for
Oh,
that,
yes, I
Sam, mate.
got it last night when I went through it in my head, and I thought, oh my God, is this what she was trying to show me? And I had to digest it because it was like a
Yeah, we had a lot of stuff
out of
coming
the
in.
park, you
So
know.
what actually can you, because this is how I give it to people.
Yeah.
But digesting is a different thing. I can shove it in their mouth, but whether they digest it or
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
So I used the butcher and the baker as an analogy, and poor Mary. Poor Mary thought
Yes.
Yeah, that's
he
right.
was right.
That's really good.
And I didn't get it at the time, but I certainly went through it because I do revise what you're trying to say.
A lot of
Did you?
information. Yeah,
Of
yeah, yeah.
course,
We all do. We all
because I
do.
wasn't comfortable. I was thinking, why don't I get this? This isn't like maths.
No,
And,
no, it's all
Well,
good.
yeah,
sometimes,
and I got it.
sometimes we get blockages. Hey, that's what it is. Because I used to get it at school, and the teacher would go, and I can't. They're talking to me, and
it's not
and
going
it's not
in.
going in. It's called
Right.
purpose tremor. So we're here, and they're putting all the stuff, and it's not going in. And
Yeah.
we know it.
I
Keep the white
certainly-
noise out.
Yeah.
Keep the white
certainly
noise
do
out.
go
Stay
and reflect
focused.
and go,
Stay focused.
A lot
just
of that
on
was
what's
from
within.
fear, because they used to whack us with the old ruler.
These
or
are-
the strip.
Yeah,
Or the
they'd
cane.
whack us in the
But
hand.
what it is, Ricky, is stay focused on the sheriff and
Yeah.
the criminal instruments.
That's right.
Law is now what's going to be on your land
That's
and your
right.
soil.
Yeah.
But also to the Council of Commons, and
Yes.
which is the Commons Councils under
Yeah.
their legislation, which is an act,
Yeah,
is ours to use, which we'll have that meeting on this afternoon.
that's right.
But now that's yesterday's work for yesterday morning.
Yeah.
Yesterday afternoon we did a whole new scenario of moving forward and our plan for the aged care industry and also to the unemployed people now that have lost their jobs through the vaxxers. I'll do a quick overbrief of that, which will only take 5 minutes and then we move on, okay guys?